Radio every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brereton Horne. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St. Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brereton Horne will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brereton Horne at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on NiceRadio for A View from the Outside.
This society needs a spectacle. It might help us to see some evil. This society needs a spectacle.
All right, and we believe that we have Brereton. Brereton, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Justin.
Yes,
how are you this morning?
Yes, nice, great, and wonderful as usual.
Yes, good to hear. Good to hear.
All right, so we are on another Saturday, and of course, many persons are waiting, persons like you, for your views, and especially the little bits that we bring in from time to time. And I think this week we have the pending shutdown in the United States, if they reach there, but they always are counting. And this week in St. Vincent, the sparring with one of our journalists, I don't know if you would call it sparring, but it is a concern.
Yes, well, if we start with what's happening in the USA, it's no longer a pending shutdown. It is a shutdown.
It is.
So yes, the economy has shut down, and naturally the U.S. Government has to come up with remedies as to how to get the economy starting again. But I have no doubt that it will get started again, because we've had that kind of experience in the past, and so it's in the interest and benefit of the American people that they resolve that issue as soon as possible. Yeah. I agree with you in terms of what's happening locally, and I think more and more there are signs of people have said that there's a creeping dictatorship in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and more there are signs of that happening. I have heard of what you described as the sparring, but and there's a lot more to be reported on it, no doubt, and there's a lot more discussion that will take place, because at the end of the day, a reporter is not there, or a journalist is not there. Well, as far as I understand it, to be at the behest of anyone, whether you're prime minister or whomever you are.
Right.
A journalist, a reporter is supposed to, get the news out as objectively as possible.
Yep.
And anyone who feels that that reporter, that journalist is supposed to be biased towards them or take a bias for them on their behalf has got to be totally mistaken. And any reporter, any journalist who remains objective will never succumb or buy into that kind of thinking.
Okay. Well, temperature-wise, we're looking at 26 Celsius here in St. Vincent. Present condition being described as fair. That's as of 6 a.m.
Wow. Nothing comparable to what we're having here in terms of on the other side of the weather, if you like. Yes, but let me say good morning to all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to everyone else who is listening, wherever you are in the Vincentian diaspora and wherever else you're listening. The temperature in London this morning is 39 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 4 degrees Celsius, really.
Okay.
And it's raining. There's rain in the atmosphere, quite a bit of it. So it's not a pleasant day weather-wise, but I'm sure, like everything else, we'll have to adapt and get used to it.
Oh, yes. All right.
Yes,
so
before I go into the view, Justin, I want to say that this weekend is the anniversary, the first anniversary of Women's March, and it's the march which is organized by an organization, and really it is the purpose of it is to have people standing up for and on behalf of women, and standing up for the rights of women. And this weekend is the first anniversary of that.
Okay.
And so there will be marches all across the globe, really, in the United States of America, in the United Kingdom. In fact, there's a march in London tomorrow. And I encourage any and everyone to join the march and to stand up for women across the globe. Now, there is a local event which is being organized, and it starts on a local event as local to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And it starts at 10 a.m. and it finishes about 5 p.m. Now, that event is organized by a family in Florida.
Okay.
And yes, it's Garfield Isles, his wife Cheryl, and his daughter Z, or Aziza, but Z for short. Now, what they're doing, because they have an affiliation, if you like, to the international group, and they want to encourage as many. Well, they don't want to. They are encouraging as many people as possible to join the front line tomorrow. Join the front line at the electoral office, outside the electoral office there. You don't have to be there from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., but you can join at any stage to show support and solidarity for women across the globe, but more specifically for women who are being abused, more for women who suffer all sorts of domestic abuse, particularly in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Okay.
So join Luzette King, join others on the front line in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It's an event, as I said, organized by Garfield Isles, his wife Cheryl, and his daughter Z, who live in Florida. And it's so interesting that the diaspora is organizing local events, which I think is a good thing.
All right.
You know, I understand there'll be a live stream as well. So hopefully, we those of us who can't physically be in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and to be on the front line there will have an opportunity to see what's happening locally.
Good. Yes. So it's all yours now.
Thank you, Justin. On A View from the Outside this week being the 20th of January 2018, we look at the issue of silence, S-I-L-E-N-C-E, silence. And we do so adopting the quotation of the 20th century author and poet Ella Wheeler Wilcox, when she said, and I quote, "To sin by silence when we should protest makes cowards out of men." To sin by silence when we should protest makes cowards out of men, unquote. When we look at the definition of silence in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it tells us that silence is a situation or state in which someone does not talk about or answer questions about something. So looking at that quotation by Ella Wheeler Wilcox, in line with the definition of silence given by the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it is reasonable to conclude that where a situation arises and requires a person to speak up and speak out, and that person does not do so, or where there is only silence coming from that person, then that person is a coward. This week's A View from the Outside continues to focus on the situation which can be referred to as the Yogi Farrell affair, coming out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines over the last 2 weeks, and which has gripped the country, the region, and the world, and continues to evoke discussion. Just to remind our listeners, because we covered the Yogi Farrell affair last week, Yogi Farrell, an ordinary poor Vincentian woman, found herself against the might of the Gonsalves family, and, as many say, against the might of the state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, after information surfaced that she alleged that she was in a relationship with Camilo Gonsalves, the Minister of Finance in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the son of the Prime Minister of the country. Yogi Farrell found herself in a court of law on a charge of using insulting language to the wife of Camilo Gonzalez. During the court process and after having been allowed to enter a plea of not guilty by the magistrates, Yogi Farrell was ordered to be committed to the mental health center for 2 weeks for psychiatric evaluation by the said magistrates. That decision by the magistrate is highly questionable and debated around the world, especially when it was reported that no evidence was revealed to the defense by the prosecution or of their concern about Yogi Farrell's mental state. And there is no evidence, presented in open court in respect of her mental state. Since Yogi's committal to the mental health center, the Prime Minister has pronounced publicly that he advised or instructed his son, Camilo, the Minister of Finance, to maintain his silence on the matter. The call has been made by many Vincentians and others at home and abroad, including the main opposition party, for Camilo Gonzalez to provide an explanation in relation to the matter. The matter is one of national public interest and involves one of the most senior ministers in the cabinet of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the person responsible for the public purse of the country. And therefore, it is a matter which requires Camilo Gonzalez to speak up. Silence will not do. Silence suggests a disrespect for his constituents and for the Vincentian people. Silence suggests a disrespect for women and for the young woman in particular that is involved. Silence suggests arrogance and pomposity, the arrogance and pomposity of a popinjay. Silence connotes cowardice. Not to speak up, some say, makes him a coward, especially in the context of what Ella Wheeler Wilcox has said. The image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is continually being tarnished in the eyes of many around the world. Many people now discuss St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a country where the rule of law continues to break down, if not halted altogether. It continues to break down completely. Many people now see St. Vincent and the Grenadines as a country where women are continually insulted, denigrated, victimized, vilified, and abused. It is for that reason, among others, why the silence of Camilo Gonzalez cannot be a good thing for him or the country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It is for that reason why we, on a view from the outside, believe that he has been badly advised or instructed. Such silence continues to add to the negative image in which the country is seen around the world. For as long as he maintains that silence, he continues to lose credibility. In fact, many people are already saying that he is indeed a coward and that he can only speak up and speak out when his daddy tells him to do so. Interestingly, and by comparison, during the last couple of weeks in Britain, in the United Kingdom, it has been reported that the partner of Henry Bolton, and Henry Bolton is the leader of one of the political parties here in the United Kingdom. He is the leader of the United Kingdom Independence party, commonly called UKIP. And his partner is alleged to have made racist remarks about Meghan Markle. And we all know that Meghan Markle is to be wedded to Prince Harry on the 19th of May, 2018. As a result of those remarks made by his partner, there has been an outcry in the country. And Henry Bolton was told by his own party that he either choose to remain with his alleged racist partner or he steps down from the leadership of the party. He, Henry Bolton, chose to remain as leader, and as a result, he has cast aside his partner. There is no way he could have chosen to invoke any silence in the matter and remain as leader of the party. Well, by the same token, we say that the onus is now on all Vincentians not to remain silent on the matter involving Camilo Gonzalez. He owes an explanation at the very least, especially since Yogi Farrell, continues to languish and remains incarcerated at the mental health center. This issue demands that all Vincentians speak up and speak out about it. This issue demands that the churches in St. Vincent and the Grenadines speak up and speak out about it. This issue demands that the men and women, boys and girls speak out about it. This issue demands that the so-called progressives need to live up to that tag of being progressive. It demands that those progressives do not sit in silence and continue to suck the so-called honey or continue to wait on the promise of that so-called honey and watch the destruction of women in the country. They cannot sit back in silence and watch the destruction of poor Vincentian citizens. They cannot sit back in silence and watch glaring injustice in the country. This issue demands that they and everyone else speak up and speak out. Remaining in silence makes those progressives, or so-called progressives, cowards also. Just like we believe that Camilo Gonzalez must end his silence, this issue demands that Vincentians, all Vincentians, end the silence also. If you, as a Vincentian, do not end the silence, if you do not speak up and speak out, then Ella Wheeler Wilcox is talking to you. She's saying to you to sin by silence when you should protest makes you a coward. Certainly, Vincentians, we are not cowards. And as we speak up and speak out, let us all be guided by the words of the former Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie. And he said, Haile Selassie, I quote, "Throughout history, it has been the inaction of those who could have acted, the indifference of those who should have known better, the silence of the voice of justice when it mattered most, that made it possible for evil to triumph." Vincentians, we all need to snap out of the silence and prevent the triumph of evil. Until next week, Justin and all the listeners, this is Brereton Horne with a view from the outside and with a reminder to send feedback as usual, which we do appreciate, to aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. That's the email address, aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. Justin, you and all the listeners have a very pleasant Saturday. Have an enjoyable Sunday, and hopefully spend some time on the front line standing up for women, and have a week ahead where silence plays no part in speaking out against justice.
All right. Thank you so much again.